Looking back on my session today, it was quite productive. I know on the screen here it says I was working on my press kit, which I did a bit towards the kind of the end of my session. But most of today, and kind of what you're seeing on the screen here, was me doing all of the additional writings that need to happen. And what that basically means is that when you're self-publishing, you need to have an acknowledgement page and an author bio. Those are things you see in all books, things I had not done, and I had not even thought of throwing up on the checklist because it hadn't occurred to me. So today it finally occurred to me, or I should say last night it occurred to me. And so I went today and I basically knocked those things out. Surprisingly, was not as hard as I thought. I was actually stressing it, but I'm pretty happy what came out of those today's session there. So I'm going to call that done, at least technically for the moment, but I'm going to end up going back and looking at it, and I'm sure making a tweak, or two here as we go along. But with that being said, we got that done. I also got my pitch email basically for an author event also typed up today. Admittedly, this I will confess, I actually used ChatGPT to help me out with that one. Quite surprising how effective those things can be. The new AI technology can be in coming up with like a basic template for something like a formal pitch email. I'm guessing that all like resumes and cover letters are going to be typed up now using AI soon enough. It's kind of my first foray into using ChatGPT, and it was interesting. I suppose I'll just talk about that for a minute. It was, or at least what I found basically when using it, was that it didn't really give you a lot of specifics. It wasn't very good at like coming up with like a really like stand out sort of letter. In my case, it was like an event pitch. It's what happened basically was it actually came out to being more of a kind of like a very formal sort of template that you kind of take and then you start playing around with it and making it your own. And that's more or less what I did. So I did that as well, and yeah, that kind of rounded out my 90-minute session here. With just because I brought it up, I suppose looking at like the AI technology now, it's tough to see it being a threat at the moment to the writing sphere. It's difficult. It's difficult to see how like it could write a script, or it could write a novel or something like that. I know with the whole writer strike there out in Hollywood, I know that's one of the big fears they've cited is that the use of AI technology potentially coming in now. And obviously they're hoping the union will be able to fight that and keep it out. And I understand their concern. Because, yeah, it's pretty weak, right? Like, at the moment, it's very, very weak. But at the rate of technology changing, there's nothing to say that in, 5 years, this thing can't turn out a script that is, like, better than anything a human's ever penned before. It's certainly possible. It really is. It's one should never just look at the current state of something and judge it by that. You need to always look at the potential that it has. And when it comes to this technology, it's scary. Even for myself, going into the writing field here, you always thought that writing was going to be the thing that would be kind of immune to any kind of AI work, because the traditional thinking, at least for myself, was often AI technologies. Yeah, they can do program things, right? They can do calculations. A lot of bots can do sort of driving technology. So anything that requires any kind of movement, they can do. So like self-driving cars, trucks, machinery, what have you. They can make your coffee in a certain way. They can remember a certain order you like, so that they can compile mass amounts of data and have really good recall. So like, you could see cashiers and baristas losing jobs. You could see like restaurants and all that stuff, employing them. You could use AI to make decisions, to make more better informed decisions on like larger scale items. But creativity always seemed the area that technology couldn't go, right? We like to think that humans have imagination in a sense, and we like to think that that's somehow somehow a thing unique to humans, unique to more. I guess the term consciousness gets thrown around a lot, so more conscious life. But I mean, as we're seeing now, it's really not. It's not just that anymore. It does seem that AI seems to learn the same way humans do, and that a lot of our skills, a lot of it's trial and error. A lot of it's trial and error. I know there's some good videos on basically how bots learn on YouTube there, and it's basically what it is. It's trial and error. It's not really even understood how necessarily they learn. It's just they go through and they'll basically just see certain patterns over and over and over again, and then make connections to those patterns. It's no different than the self-driving cars, I guess, that that when you do those little like identify your human things, where you say like, all right, identify click all the pictures that have a crosswalk, all the pictures that have stoplights, whatever. I think it's the same thing with that. They're going through and they're filtering through these things and going, okay, crosswalk looks like this, crosswalk looks like this. All right, that's a crosswalk. I can't go in. They may not understand like the mechanisms of it. They may not understand it beyond on any deep sense, but they can recognize the pattern of what something like a crosswalk is. And as a self-driving car, they just know, okay, avoid this thing. I'm programmed to, avoid people when they're in this thing. Same thing with stoplights, right? When the stoplight's red, you come to a stop because they've learned the pattern so many times. And potentially that seems like what it's going to be now with books. They're going to just, have databases where they'll read through books and pick up certain patterns within the books. It's definitely, I talk about analyzing and reading books all the time on here. I talk about how people need to study books that they read, not just reading for pleasure and all that, but actually learn how to analyze. And if a person can do it, especially when it comes to analysis, a computer definitely can. So even if it lacks the quote unquote imagination, it can just pick up patterns and do imitations of what it's seen before. And those imitations, when they're represented with original work, what's the difference at that point? So it's scary. It's scary. It's worrisome to think about where that could be and what that could do to this industry. People have talked about the death of the novel for 100 years now, maybe. So maybe longer than that, but this could be at least the death of the human author, potentially. If the books that are churned out by computers are better and more entertaining than what humans are doing, I don't see the casual reader caring. I don't see them caring if the book is written by a person or not, as long as it's entertaining. And I can see the book industry being much happier with a computer penning it. Perhaps not even revealing that's a computer. Perhaps using just some pseudonym or something like that, some pen name, to cover up for the fact that a computer is penning it. And so you'll never really meet the author. You'll never know. Just some pseudonym that's putting out these books, and the industry will, I'm sure, be very, very happy because you don't have to pay any kind of royalties or any kind of upfront salary to acquire these books. They just turn them out for you and you control them. Again, scary. That's where my thought is. If I could be completely wrong here, I'm not exactly the technology guy. I'm obviously the guy just some schmuck doing a YouTube channel here about his writing process. So, but at least for me, that's pretty worrisome. So what I'll do is I'll see you all tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed this, and have yourself a great day.